tonight. Flood alert. State government sets up monitoring committee. Pastor Patience and Deputy Governor Koneyarai lead women in April prayer meeting on the theme I Will Restore. Government continues distribution of seedlings to more primary schools. Plus, arbitrary spike in prices. Consumer Protection Commission descends on supermarkets in Abuja. We have details shortly. A very good evening to you and welcome to the news. I am Eyageno Paul. A cross-section of Akwa Ibom women led by the wife of the state governor, Pastor Patience Eno, was part of the April edition of the monthly women's prayer meeting. The service, which held at the banquet hall of the Government House Uyo on the theme I Will Restore, featured a special Thanksgiving session by the Deputy Governor, Senator Koneyarai, and other women born in the month of April. Margaret Bassi was there and now completes the story.
Pastor Patience Eno, who stated that restoration is the act of bringing a thing back to its original state, urged the congregation to eschew acts that are capable of robbing them of their chances of restoration, but to prepare their faith in line with the ordinances of the scriptures.
I know that the word of the Lord today has touched you. The preacher did justice to the topic, to the theme, which is I will restore. Who is speaking? God. And who is God saying he will restore? You and I. Every part of your life that needs restoration, today, by the word of the Lord, you will be restored. I will be restored. In the name of Jesus. Go with that this month. Don't do anything that will rob you of this restoration.
The governor's wife commended the leadership of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in the state for striving to ensure that the menace of drug and substance abuse are reduced to the barest minimum, adding that the price paid aims at restoring the dignity of the future champions.
I want to thank the NDLEA commandant for Akwa Ibom State for all that she's doing in curbing the menace of these drug people. Thank you. Continue your good work. The Lord will reward you in Jesus' name.
In an exhortation on the topic, I Will Restore, Evangelist Becky Udom reiterated that for one to be restored, sacrifices must be made, assuring the congregation that when the wind of restoration beckons, it interrupts the affairs of humanity and dismantle obstacles. Evangelist Udom mentioned forces that hinder restoration to include sin, unbelief, discontentment, unhealthy competition, hatred, and bitterness.
Restoration can also be seen as a state of making things better than their current state. And God is set to repay you if you are ready to receive it. Praise the Lord.
The service featured praise and worship, testimonies, intercessory prayers, and the cutting of birthday cake by April Burns. Similarly, the state deputy governor, Senator Akon Eyani, who was also celebrated at the service, extended her warm regards to the women for marking her birthday in the month of April due to her official engagement on February being her actual month of birth.
We are standing here today in honor of God to return all glory to Him for keeping me to see 64 years.
Margaret Bassi, Akbc News.
In response to the 2024 annual flood outlook released by the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation that 31 states, including Akwa Ibom, are under threat, Governor Moeno has swung into action to mitigate the impact of the impending occurrence. As part of measures, a monitoring committee has been constituted to interface with relevant federal government agencies as well as a certain effect of the impending flood. The committee has the Commissioners for Environment and Mineral Resources, that of Water Resources and Sanitation, Health, and that of Internal Security and Waterways as members. Others include the Agriculture Boss, that of Information and Strategy, Lands and Urban Development, as well as Chairman, Akwa Ibom State Environmental Protection and Waste Management Agency. The governor also directed the immediate activation of the Emergency Management Protocol of the state by the State Emergency Management Agency to be headed by the Deputy Governor, Senator Akon Eyain. Similarly, the State Environment and Mineral Resources and Waste Management Agency to commence immediate and aggressive desilting of gutters and flood control channels across Akwa Ibom. According to the Commissioner for Information, Comrade Nememebong, these committees are to brief the governor within 48 hours, as all have been assured of the preparedness of government to take necessary actions in order to ensure that the effect of the impending flood is minimized. The member representing Ibion Ibom State constituency in the House of Assembly, Mr. Moses Essien, has advised students of the local government instruction in tertiary institutions across the country alongside their conventional education to acquire for themselves contemporary marketable skills. The lawmaker was speaking at the Assembly Complex when the National Association of Ibion Ibom Students Worldwide paid him a visit. Uyoko Swa reports.
Mr. Moses Essien, who chairs the House Committee on Health, traced his leadership beginnings to student associations and emphasized that leadership as a student was not an excuse for poor performance in school. He warned against vices like cultism, truancy, drug abuse, and the crave for fast money, noting that actions and inactions at any leadership position have far-reaching consequences, as all positions are temporary.
And then to also be encouraged that one day you can be like me. You can even go to higher political offices. So what is taken of you is that you are now in a learning ground to prepare yourself for the task ahead. I will be very glad to see that all the students of the Ibion, especially those in leadership position today, pass through the 4 walls of university with good grade.
Reiterating his commitments to the welfare of students of the local government area in tertiary institutions, the Ibion Ibom State Legislator said he would make available a grant of 1.1 million naira to be shared among 10 students from each of the 11 wards of the local government area.
In my vision coming to the House of Assembly, having passed through this strata you are today, I think it's important I commit myself to the promotion of student welfare. And in my first one year in office, I intend to do a grant, where you call it a bursary, or we do a grant, at least for 10% per each ward. How am I going to do it? I will leave it in the hands of NICE Worldwide I think among having knowledge in computer, skill acquisition is very, very important so that they can make it self-reliant.
Earlier, the leader of the delegation and President, National Association of Ibionibum Students Worldwide, Comrade Good News Ekpenyong, said the group called at the assembly to commend their lawmaker for effective representation and to solicit his support for the plans of the association aimed at enhancing the welfare of Ibionibum students.
We extend a very special thanks to you, sir. For your one person we know that is always ready to welcome the students wherever we want to meet with you, sir. MP de pass Moses
Uyoko Uswa, Akbc News.
Government primary schools in the state have benefited from the distribution of farm inputs from the state government. At St. Patrick Primary School, Iboko Foruyo, venue for the distribution, over 60 government primary schools were presented with cassava cuttings, maize, pumpkin seeds, and coconut seedlings. Yours truly has the details.
Presenting the farm inputs to head teachers of government primary schools, the Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Fiongofo, said the gesture is to ensure that schools generate revenue internally through agriculture. Dr. Fohu re-emphasized the commitment of Governor Moino towards ensuring food sufficiency, advised that the inputs be judiciously used, adding that the pupils should be taught the importance of farming. The state agriculture boss, who announced that schools with the best farms will be rewarded handsomely, noted that a monitoring team will be going around to assess the farms.
But when we incorporate in these children the love for natural sciences and agriculture, we see that we will raise giants that will feed our nation tomorrow. I often tell people that agriculture is not something for our grandparents in the village. Whatever puts food legitimately on the table is something to be proud of. Because when you are hungry, hunger has no respect for certificates. It has no respect for status. Whoever you are, when you are hungry, your face will change.
The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Lady Rose Bassi, who represented the Commissioner, thanked Governor Moino for placing premium on practical agricultural development in the state, promising that her ministry will ensure the multiplication of the inputs.
I want to start by thanking His Excellency Pastor Moino, the Governor of Akbc, proactive, for being a responsive governor. He knows how things are now in the country, that what is really biting the common man is lack of food.
Government knows that we are facing problem, and that's why the government is saying, giving out this to schools to plant. Why? So that this issue of no food will be over.
The representative of Chairman of Subet, Mandu Ekpenyong, and head teacher of St. Patrick Primary School, Iboko Fort, Mrs. Ekaite Bassi, saluted the Minister of Agriculture for interpreting the vision of government in agricultural sector, promising to make good use of the inputs.
I welcome you all for the flagging up of this agricultural input in Akwa Ibom State to spur up agricultural development.
We are very, 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 very grateful to your invitation, because we know what we have from you are improved varieties of the cassava cuttings. And the children now in the school, like this school, a child in this school can also come and address us on how to produce mushroom. We have them, yes.
Items presented to the schools include cassava cuttings, pumpkin seed, maize, and coconut seedlings. Eyagenopo, Akbc News.
Beneficiaries of the Nigeria for Women project have been counting their gains as the project has turned lives around for good. Speaking with newsmen during a media field trip, beneficiaries from Akbc, Akbc, Sultan, Anans, Rubium, and Esrek local government areas enumerated positive effects of the project on their businesses, including turning them to employers of the labor. Esther Moren reports.
Mrs. Zuba Wonodo from Ikorok Maneda in Orogonam said through the project she has set up a vegetable plantation, established piggery and other farms in addition to drilling a borehole to aid her operations. Other beneficiaries, Mrs. Anyani Mobot and Mrs. Ederudasen from Ikorok Babin and Ikorikan in Akbc stand said they engaged in palm oil processing and palm kernel cracking.
I have so many benefits. I know how to involve myself from different business. I thank the World Bank Nigerian for Women project for this project they have brought for us. Every woman in this community benefit for the project. I say Nigerian for Women project, World Bank, thank you.
The project have made women to know what to do, because many women are lazy, but because of this project many women have put effort and making businesses.
It has great impact, because before a lot of women were suffering. They did not know where to have money and help themselves, but now good number of women are not lamenting. They are enjoying the project.
So when they started seeing the project and see what is coming in there, so a lot of them come and type me, please man, I want to join the group.
Me come over Simbang, some forget the because
conducting officials of the Nigeria for Women project and the head of operations and communication specialist erased concept. Mrs. Adeshola Oyawoye noted that the project, which was set up by the federal government in collaboration with the World Bank, has improved living standards of beneficiaries. Head of Operations, Nigeria for Women project, Mr. Nicholas Womo, said Akwa Ibom is one of the benefiting states with projects sited across the state, including Orogonam, Abak, Akbc, Sultan, Ona, Nsirubium, and Esreke local government areas. He opined that the Akwa Ibom state government is working towards empowering more women in other local government areas of the state for improved living conditions.
When the project comes, it comes in phases, and I want to tell us that phase 1 is ending in June. We are thankful to His Excellency the Governor for approving scale up. As this commitment is done by the state government for us to scale up, we eventually go to all the communities. So I want to appeal to them that they should be patient.
The head of operations and communication specialist, the REST Concept Nigeria Limited, Mrs. Oyawoye Adeshola, related success stories of some of the women whose lives have been transformed by the project.
Seeing what Nigerian for Women project have done, have empowered these women, not only them, but also you can see it translating to the community and the people around them. The women have been able to gain knowledge and also been able to access loan, which has improved their businesses. And the most inspiring of all them are seeing their husband also standing beside them and helping them improve in the business.
Esther Umorin, Akbc News.
As you're watching Akbc News at 8, we'll take a short break and we'll be back with more news reports. Please stay with us. It's good to have you back. Akwa Ibom state government is pledged to rehabilitate 486 rural roads across the 3 senatorial districts of the state to create accessible links between the rural areas and the urban centers. State Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Ofiongofo, disclosed this in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, during a ministerial briefing on a rice scorecard season 1.0 tagged food security and sufficiency. She said the Rural Access and Agricultural Marketing Project, sponsored by the state government in collaboration with the World Bank and French Development Agency, would open up the rural areas where agricultural activities are mainly carried out. Dr. Foss said when the rural rates are fixed, there will be a reduction in post-harvest losses as farm produce will be easily conveyed to the urban areas. The Oyo and Osun Area Command of the Nigeria Customs Service has handed over seized fake drugs worth 1.7 billion naira to the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. The pharmaceuticals comprising augmentin tablets, ampiclox and amoxicillin capsules were concealed in 53 sacks. The command at a press conference announced the seizure of the fake drugs. The area controller, Dr. Ben Oramologo, speaking during the handover at the 2024 third press conference of the command, also announced that the command had generated and remitted funds into the coffers of the federal government. Present at the meeting briefing with the South Director of NAFDAC and the Coordinating Director, all zones of Nigeria, Mrs. Roselyn Ajayi, the Assistant Director and Head Liaison Office of the Director, Mr. Akinwale Fagarero, among other NAFDAC team. The Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Ms. Kristalina Georgieva, has called on member countries to restart building of fiscal buffers in order to deal with the projected growth. She spoke at the press briefing at the ongoing spring meeting of the IMF and World Bank in Washington, D.C. According to her, global economy has shown remarkable resilience and appears headed for a soft landing, but buffers have been eroded, growth prospects are lackluster, and vulnerable countries are at risk of falling under behind. Speaking further, Georgieva said against this background, the key policy priorities are to rebuild buffers, revive medium-term growth, and renew the IMF's commitment to economic growth. On the crisis in some parts of the world, the MD said that the Israel-Gaza war had overshadowed terrible suffering and pain in Sudan, Yemen, and other such nations. The Federal Consumer Competition and Consumer Protection Commission on Thursday carried out an enforcement raid at 2 supermarkets in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to ensure adherence to price display and quantity regulations. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Adamu Abdullahi, said the exercise targeted at reducing the high cost of food commodities nationwide would be extended to Lagos, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, Kano, Kaduna, and other cities in the coming weeks. Abdullahi said unannounced inspections would be carried out at the stores and open markets across different states as part of measures to control the abnormal price surges which had failed to respond to the appreciation of the naira in recent weeks. The FCCPC boss further disclosed plans to raid some open major markets in the FCT to checkmate the arbitrary increase in prices of consumables by traders. The move was in direct response to concerns raised by consumers about the rising cost of goods, which go against the appreciation of the naira. The National Security Advisor to the President, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, on Thursday expressed concern about what he described as the booming illegal firearms market in the north. This was as He decried the high level of poverty in northern Nigeria, saying the northwest was worst hit. Ribadu expressed the concerns while speaking at the convocation lecture of the Usman Dan Fodio University, Sokoto. He delivered a paper titled Navigating the Maze, Addressing Multidimensional Insecurity Challenges in Northern Nigeria. He said illegal arms markets in northern Nigeria has seen a marked increase in demand and supply. Criminals and traffickers have developed sophisticated networks to transport illegal arms across Nigeria, deploying innovative methods to circumvent security checks. He, however, said President Bola Tinubu had made appreciable progress in the fight against banditry and terrorism. There's a package tonight, but before we get another look at the top stories. As a sequel to federal government alert in impending flood, Gama Moino has constituted a monitoring committee made up of commissioners to interface with federal agencies to mitigate its effect. A prayer meeting with the theme I Will Restore featured Pastor Patience Zeno leading women in thanksgiving over the mercies of God. More than 60 primary schools have benefited from government's distribution of farm inputs gathered at St. Patrick School, Iboko Foruyo. They received cassava cuttings, maize, pumpkin seeds, and coconut seedlings. We also brought a report that the Federal Competition and Consumer Commission has commenced the monitoring of supermarkets to redress arbitrary price increase. That's a package. We thank you so much for staying with us. Good night.